Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking Justice League whole day long, and I haven't given you a piece of scripture. Let me give you a piece of scripture here. It comes from Isaiah 52. It says, verse 7, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of they that bring good tidings, that publish peace, that bring good tidings of good, that publish salvation, that say unto Zion, your God reigns. Now, another way of paraphrasing this is to say, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of they that bring the gospel. They that bring the gospel of good and publish Jesus. So, basically, in the Old Testament, just to break it down for some people to understand, in the Old Testament, when you see, O Lord of my salvation, that's the definition of Jesus. Jesus means God saves. See? And when you see, go and broadcast good tidings, well, the gospel is good tidings. So that's what the gospel is. The gospel is just a good word, or good tidings, or good news. So, a lot of times, you see the New Testament quote the Old Testament, talking about these things. Now, what's the relevance to this video, and what's the relevance to you, right? That's what you want to know. Isaiah 47. Real quick. It says this. Now hear this, you who are given to pleasures, that dwell carelessly, that say in your heart, I am God, and there is no one else besides me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come upon you in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They will come upon you in their perfection, for the multitude of your sorceries, and for the great abundance of your enchantments. You know, Lex Luthor said to Superman, so what is the name of a mother of a flying demon? And he said, a witch. And what would be the punishment for witches? Death by fire. Right. Now, just so you guys can understand Isaiah 52, I read Isaiah 47. Isaiah 47 is the summary of a person who lives for themselves and no one else. And this person has been given responsibility. They've been elevated to a certain position, and instead of using that position to help other people and to elevate people around them, they use the position for themselves to get self-gain and to oppress other people in the process. Those people end up without any legacy that's worth thinking about. And in their lifetimes, they're feared, or in their lifetimes, people speak good about them. But at the end of the day, their legacy is false, and it will not last forever. Now, the people mentioned in Isaiah 52, they spread good news, right? They speak of salvation. And the Justice League is all about saving the world. In fact, you hear Bruce Wayne say to Alfred, it's not about changing these people. It's about saving them. And that's what I paraphrase it. Because Alfred was like, the world's changing. I don't know what to make of it. And Bruce is like, it's not about changing them. It's about saving them. And quite frankly, messengers of peace and messengers who are there to save and restore people, and protect people, these are the people who will have the biggest legacy. Because life is not about living for ourselves. It is about living for others. And in so doing, we live for ourselves. Alright, now that I've said all of that, let's get into what I want to talk about. I want to talk about two of the most prominent characters in the DCEU right now. It's Batman and it's Wonder Woman. And Hot Toys, I've given some figures for the Justice League. So I just wanted to show you what Hot Toys most recently posted up of Batman. Here is Batman in his mech suit right there. And look how smart he looks there. And this is actual Ben Affleck as Batman here. He's got a lot more detailing on him than the Batman you see here. But it's still really cool that this Batman comes with a number of different features. So here he is with the night vision goggles here. And there are the different looks. And this image right here, not this one, not this one. This image right here really does resemble Ben Affleck, don't you think? Don't you think? Look at Ben Affleck here. And look at that image. It's not perfect, okay? It doesn't have all the wrinkles and stuff Ben has on his face and all that definition, but you can see that's Ben. And you see the glasses up as well, so that's really cool. This image here, not so much like Ben, right? They didn't get the distance between the nose and the mouth properly. So this, I don't know what happened there. And this is supposedly Ben with a grimace. I think they use the BVS kind of profile, but really Ben, when he grimaces, he looks a little bit different to that. Sometimes when he's fighting, he looks like that, but when he's grimacing, see he's grimacing here, he looks a little bit different. So they haven't quite gotten Ben, but it's still pretty cool. See him there shooting out a grappling hook. And you can see somewhere in a parademon lair. Look at that stuff, the definition behind there. There he is again. Very stern look here. Really cool. Reminds us of Ben Affleck. Look at Ben Affleck here. And look at him here. They got pretty much down the likeness there. Okay. These don't really look like Ben at the present moment, but it's all good. And I thought I saw some of the features. Oh my gosh, this looks like Ben. This really looks like Ben Affleck right here. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah, they got Ben down there to T on that one. Of course, Ben has the goggles on the top of his head for that. It's really awesome looking. Oh, there's Aquaman in the background too. Oh my gosh, look at that. Aquaman. Oh, that's wonderful. So anyway, Hot Toys, man. That looks like Ben right there. And you're going to see a profile where Ben actually lifts his goggles from his face. I'm looking for it right now. Can't seem to find it. All of this looks good. Looks great. Let's see. Yeah, that's definitely Ben Affleck right there. I mean, you can't get it better than that, huh? That's Ben. That definitely is Ben. So, I just wanted to show that. That's the likeness of Ben Affleck right there. Gosh, that looks like Ben Affleck. That is fantastic. That looks like Ben Affleck. Wow. Wow. Look at that. Wow. That's fantastic. All right. Oh, they have a mother box too. That's pretty awesome. So here's Ben Affleck here, and all the features here. Definitely looks like Ben. Even this looks like Ben. The goggles up above his head. So you can move the goggles up and above his head, which is pretty cool. See the tactical suit and all the gear here. Really awesome. Hot Toys. Hot Toys. Let me put a like on that. So I'm actually in Facebook right now. And let's see what else we have here. Alright, so the other suit that Hot Toys has is the armored Batman with the handprint on the inside and the broken face on the outside when Superman dived in on Batman and punched him, right? So here he's saying, I bet your parents taught you that you mean something, that you're here for a reason. Which is pretty much what he was saying here. I bet your parents taught you that you mean something, that you're here for a reason, and the thing's all breaking up and everything. It's really cool. He turns, my parent taught me a different lesson. Look at how he looks, grimacing. There, do you see how Ben grimaces? That's how Ben grimaces. So you gotta get it like that. The world only makes sense when you force it to. But the thing you have to look at is his costuming, right? So let's see if they got that. This is Ben holding the kryptonite spear here. Superman all wrapped up on the ground right there. He puts his foot on Superman's throat. Look at him there. It's really awesome looking. Look at that. Alright. That one's really going to kill Superman, man. He wasn't playing. Anyway, here is the Hot Toys version of Ben here. And let's have some other looks at it. There, look at him. It's very menacing looking. You can see all the hair is messed up, and this thing is messed up, and he has the kryptonite spear. That does look like Ben Affleck at that angle. It definitely looks like Ben Affleck. Let's see some more. Wow. Wow. It's very dramatic looking as well. Wow. This doesn't look so much like Ben, but you can see the nose here. It does look like Ben from the angle with the nose, but this is again a little too high. But I think this is actually Ben underneath this mask. That would be awesome if you could take the helmet off. That would be so cool. Again, this is a little. This nose part is a little too high. See, just being very specific about it. You see, the nose guard goes all the way down. Right. It goes all the way down. So that's a little something you should have bore in mind. It's a little too high. See how low it is. So it's the one thing Hot Toys didn't quite get. See, this is a bit lower, but that's all good. It's all good. It looks like Ben. It does look like Ben. Look at that. Look at that. Let me see if I can get it. So take it full screen on you. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That is beautiful. That's definitely beautiful. All right, let's just keep this moving here. Oh yeah, that's Ben Affleck. That's Ben Affleck. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Hot Toys does a remarkable job of getting the resemblance of the character. You know, they did a pretty excellent job there. Wow, look at that. They just should have different facial profiles where, you know, he's actually grimacing. That would have really pulled it through. Oops. I'm coming to Wonder Woman in a minute. So yeah, Batman definitely did an excellent job on Batman there. And again, look at Ben here. Where is it? Here. You see the same thing there. Of course, there's much more detailing as usual in the actual person versus see, the guard's a little too high here. It needs to drop down just a little bit more, a tad more. But it's all good. Sometimes they don't get the spacing right. This is perfect here. Superman laid out right there. That's what's reminiscent of this. Where is it? There you go. It's just over him right there. It's perfect. It's really fantastic. All right, let's go to Wonder Woman. So this is Wonder Woman. This is Hot Toys Wonder Woman. From afar, it looks like Gal from afar, but as you draw closer, there's a distinguishing feature of Gal that they don't quite get. They don't quite get it. But they're working at it. They're getting the facial profile and everything. See right here, the problem here is the mouth. It's always the mouth that's the problem with this figure. It's not anything else. Everything else about this figure is just so right, except for the mouth here. And I'm going to show you what Gal Gadot's face looks like compared to this. All right. Let me get a bigger view. Oh, this is beautiful, and this looks sort of like Gal. Still not quite it because of this lip here. I'll show you what I'm talking about when I get a bit. This is a perfect picture to show it. So, if you look at this picture here, all right, the problem they have is two things. The first one is they got the lower lip perfectly, but when it comes to the upper lip, this is supposed to dip. This is supposed to dip all here. Dip. This is also supposed to dip a little bit more as well. And they need to just paint that, but they need to get the dip here. And I'll show you that Gal Gadot, she has a beak. See her little beak right there? Even when she's smiling, it accentuates the beak. She has a beak. Gal has a beak. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize and explain to people. And that's all Hot Toys is missing. Every time they have Gal open her mouth, she doesn't get this feature. Now, this is an exaggeration of Gal's feature, but Gal has a beak. All right, I'll show you another one. This is her again. I'm zooming her in. Now, you can't see it that as well. I mean, you can see it, but it's not as pronounced as the other one that you saw. Now, you see, you have to understand Gal's face. She forms. You see the little beak here, but it slopes inwards, right? But it beaks out. She has it's more of a plateau here. It's not as peaked as before. Gal has a beak. Now that's the thing that makes her bird-like looking, and that's the feature that Hot Toys has not captured. I'm going to show you again Gal Gadot's face with the beak. Okay, let me move her this way. and look at the Hot Toy figure, and you will see now why it is Gal Gadot has certain features. Like I said, explained to you, here's a little bit more sloped than they have it here. And the other thing, so this is sloped a little too little. It needs to slope a little, to dip a little bit more, and it needs to be sharper on the edge. Watch it, gals. And it's how Gal puts on a lipstick, I think. See? So it comes from right here, goes up sharply, and dips, and goes down. And then she has the little beak. You see her mouth goes like this, up, and then dips, and then comes back up. See that? She's bird-like. So that's the thing they don't get. So this is supposed to go down, up, down, up, down. Now they kind of do it on the inside, but you got to extend this out like a platform, forward and out like that, and then come up. And that's the thing they haven't mastered. They got everything else about Gal here in this figure. They just never mastered the beak. It's just the upper lip. They have to do a little sculpting, I think, and they have to do, they have to shade it properly, and they'll be. That's it. That's what captures Gal. That's the essence of Gal, and they pretty much have her facial profile. They still kind of have it. Her facial profile is not exactly like Gal's facial profile. If you look at Gal's facial profile compared to that, it's slightly different. But this is the feature. Now I'm going to show you. I think they've already been looking at what some toys have done concerning Gal Gadot, but I'm going to show you some other things. Now here again, here's Gal. I'm going to zoom in on her, and you can see she definitely has a beak here. It's a plateau, but it's a beak. See, that's the thing. See, you can see the beak. You can actually see the beak right here. You can see where her lips come together, the formation of each side of her lip, and it's beaked out. And that's the thing with Gal. And the lipstick was peeling off as well. But she has the corners of her mouth don't have lip really. Your lip kind of forms inside, dips sharply here. There's this little sink here. As you can see, triangular sink. She has this little beak here because the lip folds in and goes downward, and the beak slants from forward to backwards. I know my brother has a beak like that, and so that's the thing with Gal. They got the lower lip. But it's the upper lip that they haven't quite mastered, and that's the key to Gal Gadot. That's the key to getting her likeness. That's her distinguishing feature. Yes, her lip. Also, her lip on either side is sort of not symmetric, but that's a whole other story for another day. If you really want to capture her likeness, then you will want to get not just the lip, but you want to get all the little folds on the lip. You know, when you really started going to the detailing, that's that's a completely other level. All right, we're not going into that. But just the 1/6 scale figure, that's the thing. Now, here's the good news. The good news is Prime 1 Studios finally captured the likeness of Gal Gadot. We know that DC Collectibles was able to capture her likeness in the terms of the Diana of Themyscira training uniform. We know that Kotobukiya was able to capture her likeness as well. So it's not something that's unattainable. Again, I want to show you this. Again, you can see the beak right here. It folds in. There's the beak right there. The lip goes down, up, and then down. Right? Whoop, whoop, whoop. Like that. All right? Again, notice her lipstick. Her lipstick, the corner of her lip doesn't have lip. And that's the thing, again, that they kind of don't get. The corner of her lip doesn't have lip. She actually forms here, and then her lip starts to form this way. So they haven't quite mastered the likeness of Gal Gadot yet. But, you know, it takes time to get those things and to understand the intricacies of it. And the corner of her lip, you see, it does this. So you have to be able to see these things. These are the distinguishing features. The sink is a prominent sink right here. That's why she has this little triangle here, because it comes up and then it sinks and then it goes back down. It's sharp at the edges here. They're sharp as well. Look at that. It's not as sharp enough. It's not sharp enough, and it's not a good enough sink. So you just have to look at the features of a person, and those distinguishing features of a person you must be able to put into your figure. Here is Gal in the movie talking to Steve Trevor. Now, in this case, her lip is not as prominently beaked. It is beaked. You can see the beak right there. But it's not as prominently beaked as before. But again, the lip dips up, comes down to the beak. See the beak right there. And it goes up again and back down. And again, the corners of her lip have no lip. See, the corners of her lip don't have a lip. Downstairs, there's a lip, not upstairs. This is a distinguishing feature of Gal Gadot. That's how she does her lipstick. It's the lipstick doing that. it could possibly be her natural lip as well. So anyway, here's Gal again with her mother, Themyscira, and you can see the beak. I mean, you can clearly see she has a beak, okay? And that is just something you must be able to identify. Now, Gal also does this thing with her forehead here, where she kind of concentrates it so she gets these folds here. So that shows her intensity, and she uses that sort of expression multiple ways to emphasize certain things. Sometimes she uses that intensity to show that she's determined to do what she's doing. Other times it's because she's actually alarmed and distressed about what's happening, and so right here furrows. Okay, but again, you see she has a beak, and you see the beak. It's a beak. It's literally a beak here. She has a beak. She's like a bird. Okay, here she is again. And in this case, if you go from afar, you can see the beak is very pronounced. The closer you get, it is not as pronounced. It is. But there it is, the dip again, the beak like up and down. And that's what they miss here in all these figures. This is not going up and down. See? Let's show you some more here. So from afar, it looks more like Gal than when you get closer. You see? Here's the figure again. They lost the beak. Gotta have that beak, man. Here's Gal Gadot's face again. Let's look at her face. This is her from the front, right? And she still has the beak. You can see it all merging towards the beak end. You can't have it just flat. And that's the problem. They just have it flat here. It's supposed to go up and then down. Pronounce the down that stroke and back up. Okay, this is fantastic, by the way. That angle. So they just have to work on the beak of Gal, and that would be perfection. Again, here, this was Steve Brandt. Shout out to Steve Brandt. And he's showing from an angle, but again, still not a pronounced enough beak. But still pretty good work right there, you know. Pretty good work. I gotta come out and go back in. Okay. All right. So let me get that back. So there's some work to be done there. So yeah, let me show you some more. Here, you see, that's when she pulled the sword. So there's always that up and down there. This is from the front. And again, Gal's lip is here. Gal's lip is dipping here. But the upper lip hasn't dipped. But it still has that little beak on the inside. You got to get that beak. And like I said before, Prime 1 Studios actually mastered that. And they actually got the beak for Gal. Of course, the lower lip is also accentuated here. But if you see Gal here of Themyscira, and look at this. Look at this action figure. I'm not action figure. This statue. This is a statue. Prime 1 Studios statue. They finally mastered Gal. Okay? From all angles. Look at that. They got it. They got her. I'm telling you, they nailed her right there. They must have looked at the DC Collectibles figure to figure out an idea or someone, and or maybe they were watching my videos. I don't know. But they finally mastered her face. They got it. And Prime 1 Studios is pretty much a sister company to Hot Toys. Okay? Because I think Prime 1 Studios is the ones that actually designed the Hot Toys. And they got her here. They got her. Look at that. She has the beak. See? See? This is perfect. This is perfect for what I'm talking about. So let me see if I can pull it down here. Oh, wow. Okay. So you see here, her mouth goes up, like I said before, and then it dips down into the beak, and then back up, and then back down. Okay? And they got the triangle as well. The triangle, yes. They perfected it. That is Gal. And they even got her facial features. This is so crazy. I know this is in limited supply, but nonetheless, I just wanted to show you this, man. This is crazy. All right. Let's pull it back up there. So they got her. They nailed her. So Hot Toys should be able now to be able to pull this off. I know it's a different type of material they're dealing with, but the sculpt, they have to get the sculpt right. And I think they can. They can get this sculpt right on this figure because they just proved it by getting the statue to have the sculpt. There's the perfect sculpt. That's the perfect sculpt of Gal Gadot right there. That's perfection. Look at that. See the beak? Up, down, up. This is a 1/3 scale figure, 1:3. 3rd scale statue, so it's 2.5 feet tall. Okay, and it's going to be released on October 31st, 2018, which is next year. They're not putting out a whole bunch of them, unfortunately, but I just want to say, you see the likeness of Gal Gadot there, right? And just let's see here. Let me show you something here. Let me get zoom back in on her here from all angles. I mean, that is definitely Gal. But okay, here we are. I want to show you how this matches up with this. See? There you go. This is actual Gal here. Actual Gal here. And this is Gal here as a figure. And there's slight differences in it, but I mean, this is as good as it gets, okay? Okay, folks? This is as good as it gets. That is fantastic. I mean, Gal's mouth's a little bit longer, a little bit broader than this one, but yeah, they nailed her. And the point is, if they could do it for this figure, they could do it for the 1/6 scale, okay? And I think they will succeed at doing that. But like I said, Kotobukiya also pulled it off. Oh, by the way, Prime 1 Studios, they struggled to try and get Gal's likeness. Here, this was Gal Gadot they were trying to do. Same Prime 1 Studios for Batman v Superman as Wonder Woman. Okay, and they could not get her likeness. Look at this. And this is the same statue. This is a statue. And they still couldn't get the likeness of Gal. See that? They got the lip, kind of. But still, the nose wasn't properly done. There was too much space in between the nose and the lip. And they didn't get the facial profile properly as well. But they really tried. Okay. They didn't get the facial profile properly. See? Look at that. See, they got the gapping now between the nose. It's a shorter gapping. See? That was a little too long, and there was a different nose profile as well they went with. And so finally, their beginning and the facial features even was kind of a bit off. So finally, they've captured Gal Gadot. So it took trial and error for them to actually land that. Okay? Again, you see Gal has that beak. You can clearly see the beak there. And Kotobukiya, they were the first, I think, besides DC Collectibles, I think Kotobukiya was the first to really capture Gal and get that beak that we were talking about all the time. They really crushed it. Now, it's a little bit more exaggerated, but that's the feature of Gal Gadot. That's the feature of Gal Gadot. They nailed it right there. You see the beak. Now, it doesn't really look exactly like Gal, but the accentuation made for the likeness, so it had better likeness than most of the figures at the time. Now, Kotobukiya is not the only one that has the likeness of Gal. And of course, DC Collectibles. Oh, this is Gal here in another movie, in another setting, and you can see the beak again. See, it dips down. And that's it. That's just a feature of Gal. Alright. Here she is, Amazon. Here now, you notice the beak is not as prominent from this angle. See? It's not as prominent. But there's a dip up here. So you know somehow that this slopes backwards into there as a beak. But it's because I think she's smiling that it doesn't quite translate into the beak. So it's tightened up a bit. But still amazing. And like I said, DC Collectibles, they nailed her with, again, the Amazon from Themyscira figure. Oh, I forgot to show you this one. So you can see, oh, clearly you can see she has a beak there. The shadowing profiles the beak and everything. And so that's the thing with Gal Gadot. She has a beak, and that's the thing that Hot Toys is not capturing. But they've got her facial profile pretty much. They've got basically everything else except, you know, just this one little detail, the slope down here, the beak. So you got to get that. But definitely Prime 1 Studios has gotten her. That is Gal Gadot right there. That is definitely Gal Gadot all the way through. Look at that. Wonderful. Any angle, any lighting, that's Gal. End of story. Alright. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. You guys have a great one.